Hey, I feel like in the last month or so, there's been a lot of pro audio gear content on this channel, maybe a bit of a return to its roots, and I feel like a lot of my viewers are happy with that. I miss the old Ben Jordan's YouTube channel, Chop Up the Soul Ben Jordan's YouTube channel. I'm just gonna stop this. But with NAMM coming up in a few weeks, the music making gear content is not about to end. But before showing you stuff that you can't get your hands on, I thought that I would show you some cool stuff, some lame stuff, and this cool thing. About 2 years ago, I did a short video on the original SYNTRX, and I feel like enough things have changed in this new version to justify looking at it from a different perspective. And of course, we're gonna have a bunch of crazy sounds. We're gonna introduce it to its relatives. But most importantly, but first, a teeny tiny bit of synth history. In the late 1960s, a company called Electronic Music Studios, real creative name there, guys. Most of us refer to them as EMS, or EMS. In the late 1960s, EMS released the VCS3 and Synthi A, both which had a pretty innovative routing matrix pinboard in them that would allow you to connect components in an accessible and convenient spot without needing patch cables. My sources are correct, the VCS3 and Synthi essentially had the same components, but different cases, and were used in quite an impressive amount of recognizable classics in the 1970s, such as Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Here you can hear it in the song On the Run. And here it is again on the same album in the classic echoey synth solo in the beginning of Any Color You Like. Now, unfortunately, I had to use royalty-free Tropical House instead of the actual Pink Floyd music that I was referencing, because even though Section 107 of the Copyright Act says that if you're using recorded material for reference or education, that qualifies as fair use. However, YouTube and record labels tend to not see eye to eye with George Washington and the Constitution and the whole copyright thing. Anyway, the SYNTRX and SYNTRX 2 are not EMS clones, nor do they claim to be or try to be. It's more of a homage to the overall playfulness and routing matrix. But what both SYNTRX's Synthi accomplish successfully is providing a tabletop sound design laboratory. And even though they have inputs that allow it to be controlled by my modular synthesizer, I typically use them upstairs on a kitchen table or something like that with a portable recorder. All right, so what's new with the sequel? A whole lot, but here's a short list. It now has delay and a new DSP algorithmic reverb, no more spring reverb. The matrix routing has various improvements, and there is an external gate input. It no longer has speakers, and it no longer has those awesome vintage looking knobs. The knobs on it are really nice and the hardware is built like a tank, but these are no more. There is an envelope follower on the input, which effectively makes the SYNTRX 2 the most powerful and cool bass filter ever. The routing matrix now has an alternative mode that allows it to be used as a piano roll style sequencer, and then you also have two different modes after that that provide modulation lanes that can be assigned to anything. And finally, the best feature of all, it costs 1/3 less, which shaves off about $800 from the retail price. Speaking of your hard-earned money, the SYNTRX 2 and modular gear and synthesizers and pedals and recording gear, none of it is cheap, and if you want to play with it with your own hands and are anywhere near Southern California, or if you're attending NAMM, then give Perfect Circuit a visit in Burbank, California, because their sales floor is like an interactive museum of awesome music gear. If you live nowhere near Southern California, don't fret, they ship everything that they carry worldwide and have a pretty generous return policy. There is an affiliate link below, and I donate 100% of my affiliate income on this channel to the ACLU. Speaking of freedom of speech, I am abusing mine by yapping this much. Let's go hear the thing. The documentation on the SYNTRX 2 is great, and Loopop also did a launch video on it that covers a lot of these things in very fine detail. So I think what I'll be doing is just patching around, giving you some ideas, and then jamming. So now the only thing plugged in here is power and the output from the headphones going directly into an audio recorder. And we can just patch an oscillator to our outputs. Left and right, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. So the power of these three oscillators alone allow for a really rich sound, but let's put them into a filter. So oscillator 1 to the filter, and then the filter can go to output 1 and 2. Also worth mentioning is that if we connect this with the right knob by pressing it, it's on off. If we connect it with the left knob, it actually divides the signal up a little bit, so it's not as strong. Turn the filter down, and now the trapezoid can go into the control input of the filter frequency. And it's essentially an interesting ADSR. How the trapezoid controls the filter has a very slight difference or variation on how a lot of modular or Euro rack controls would work when this happens. And what I mean by that is if we move the low pass filter to about 50%, it will remain closed until that gate is hit, and then it'll be about 100% open. But if we move it down towards 0 and all the way up, it'll be all the way open. We could also fine tune that strength by the trapezoid power here. All right, let's also patch the filter into the effects, and then the effects into output 1 and 2. All right, let's go into the piano roll, and this will be our first note. Holding down Shift, we can set the BPM and also set the length of the overall sequence, and then we could have it play forward, backwards, or randomly. All right, so now the joystick. This is fun. We can bind this up and down, left and right to 2 different things, and so let's bind it to the filter. And now we can record that. All right, just for fun, let's patch the output of the effects into itself. So this is very simple. We have oscillator 1 and 2 going into the filter. We have the filter going into effects and output, and then we have the effects also going into the output. But we have oscillator 2 going into oscillator 1, and oscillator 1 going into oscillator 2, and it's kind of crazy. This is a moderately simple patch that I made that is going to be a little bit unexpected for a SYNTRX, because a SYNTRX is known for being a monophonic synth and also known for being an experimental synth, not a melodic one. So let's hear it. So how did I do this? Well, over here we have our melody sequencer mode, but if we hold down Shift, we can also sequence the modulation that is connected to the joystick. And the joystick is basically an attenuator for the modulation being sequenced here. So this is X, this is Y. If I move the joystick out of this position, we will lose our tuning. Also, the BPM is very low. We're at 20. Wow, the BPM gets very low on this. So what do you think? I would hedge my bets that if you were on the fence about buying the original SYNTRX, or anywhere near the fence, if you could even see the fence on the horizon, then the lower price and expanded features of the SYNTRX 2 have just lobbed you over that fence. For me, it's a keeper, and I just can't really think of a better sound design playground walled garden device. Even with the addition of the piano roll, which makes it easier to make melodic music, I find myself using that piano roll to make weirder sound design elements, so it will always be on the left field side of things for me. As for the price, it kind of depends where you are in the world and when you want it. If you order it directly from Erica Synth in Latvia, it costs 1,800 euros plus VAT tax and shipping. If you order it from Perfect Circuit, it costs $2,179, and that has free shipping. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you decide to go the Perfect Circuit route, then I have an affiliate link below, and all that money goes to the ACLU. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel. If you want to support this channel's existence and join an amazing community with monthly songwriting challenges, unreleased music, audio assets, discount codes related to music gear and music software, then my Patreon is for you, and you can join for as little as $1. See you soon. Bye.